Welcome back to my abundant, amazing podcast. And this is Divine Akuwabi MIJ, and I am back with another segment. So today we're going to talk about letting go of emotional suffering. Now, I've been wanting to do this one. Like, I have a notebook that I write down all of my topics that I'm going to write about. So I've been wanting to do this one, but when I come at you guys with topics, it's because, I'm actually going through these. I'm actually doing this work. I'm actually going through this. So I want to be able to come and give you my results of what I came up with, so let's get right into it. I apologize if you hear my babies. I'm homeschooling my babies. They're in the back. So first I wanted to touch on mindfulness. And I wanted to tell you there's two definitions of mindfulness. The first is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. The second definition is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations used as a therapeutic technique. Okay, now I know that was a mouthful, and I definitely know that takes practice, and it takes patience, and it takes faith to really be in a mental mindfulness state like that. We have to become more mindful of our own emotions and of other people's emotions. I think sometimes when we haven't experienced something, we downplay other people and their experiences and their emotions. Sometimes we'll cut somebody short based on whatever it is that they're telling us because we've already been through it. And that's not. We don't want to practice tearing people down just because we feel like we're stronger and we're able to handle things differently, which this has a lot to do with childhood. I'm going to talk about that in this segment too, like childhood wounds and everything. Some childhood wounds are big and small. Some childhood wounds are huge, where it may take years, months, maybe lifetimes for you to be able to heal and really get over it. So just because we may not understand a person's way of thinking or outlook on life, on how they choose to move, that doesn't define criticism. And sometimes people try to understand they try to understand things that's not meant for them. And that's where the mental chatter and the mental disorder comes in at. I wanted to share with you one of the lessons that I've learned, which is, I feel like this is one of my lessons here, which is mastery over my emotions. When I tell you I'm an emotional ass, I can't cry on cue, when people are in front. I don't cry in front of people. I think my closest friends can tell you that they pretty much have not really seen me cry that much. But I am emotional. This healing process has, crying has helped me a lot, get over, some things. And that's how I know if I'm healing, whether if it comes back up. Well, I guess this is with anybody. When anything comes back up that you feel like, it's going to come back up. You're going to be tested when you're healing to see, if you have really gotten over it, if you have healed, if you need some more work to do. So mastering your emotions doesn't mean to ignore things and say that we don't care, because I used to say that even though I don't care about what anybody else thinks, I still care about sharing what I've learned and my experiences. That doesn't mean that I expect for other people to believe or go after it is what I'm after. My path, my visions, my dreams has nothing to do with nobody else. Mastering your emotions is about accepting the emotion for what it is, understanding the trigger. We all use this word trigger. What I just heard this trigger word at. I think me and my kids was doing. It was a lesson me and my son was doing, and I heard the word trigger, and it came from your asthma being triggered, for multiple things. So I'm like, okay, it's ready to be used out. So where does this emotion stem from? Where does your emotion come from? And how to deal with it. Take action toward it. Confront the person. Do some self-work. But just make sure there's a different approach or reaction in the future. That's the point of healing. That's the point of, writing things out, talking things out. There's different ways that people like to heal, okay? Everybody's different. So first, we're going to observe the emotion. Accept what and how you feel. Acceptance is the first step to change. Observe, take note of its presence. Detach yourself from the emotion and take time away from the thought, the situation, to really see more details unfold about the behind the scenes ness or mess. And this is something where the quick reactions come from based on what we think we see. Sometimes we think we see some things, or we think we know something when that's not true, okay? I think that we have to work on gaining clarity and just sitting back and observing the emotion, not even just trying to judge on why you thought that, where did the, pretty much observe the emotion just as well as you're sitting back liking when you're just as well as when you're sitting back observing somebody in silence that you like. It's the same way as sitting back and observing, your thoughts coming in and your emotions. And all emotions is energy in motion, okay? So that energy had to come from somewhere. So next, experience the emotion fully and thoroughly. Do not block, once again, how you feel. Don't cover it up. Don't justify it. Spend time there and meditate. This is where meditation comes in. Focus on your breath, but still allow your thoughts to come and go. Listen and don't push your thoughts away off on someone else. Don't try to discard them and tuck them away so you can bring it back up. Don't make up excuses to increase the emotions. Be a witness. Sit back and be and observe and be watchful. This is all about watching your thoughts. And you know how difficult it is for you to literally sit and monitor and watch all of your thoughts. Like, it's a difference from watching and trying to control it. It's like sitting back watching a movie, okay? You're the first one to see your thoughts. You are not your emotion. Don't let people make you feel bad for thinking the way that you do. Most of the time, it's valid. It just takes for you to dig a bit deeper and don't act on the sense of emotion, high and lows. That's where people kind of get stuck. I'm working, baby. That's where these about don't open. That's where we kind of get stuck up with the highs and the lows. And I have been like, that was where I was at one point, where I'll be extremely happy or I'll be just extremely sad and depressed. And that's just not the way to be, okay? Just remain neutral, in the middle. Remain neutral, not too happy, not too sad. Visualize times where you have felt differently about the person or situation. We have all been there where we have been mad at somebody that we care about. We have all been there where we have said things that we maybe didn't mean, but we just said it because we was mad. This is where, taking a step back and observing the situation, getting in all the details, taking in everything away from this on the situation. Sometimes people like to take a shower. Well, I know I like to take a shower when there's a bad situation or anything like that. And I also just like to sleep on it. Sometimes sleeping on things, going to sleep for that night and resting and gathering on your thoughts can help you come up with a better solution, the next day. I'm working, baby. So describe how you feel out loud. And this is where affirmations come into play. Even though you may be pissed off, say instead, I am calm during uncertain times, or whatever comes to mind to switch from anything else that's happening around you. Sometimes things can go on around us and it can hypen the situation up, especially people hyping up situations. Sometimes, but yeah, so next is practice respecting, loving your emotion. Don't judge yourself through any healing process. Healing has no expiration date or deadline. It's not up to anybody else how long it takes for you to heal. People may judge, but hey, it is what it is. Practice the quality or state of being prepared to do something. Readiness. So accept your emotions and work on them. Mostly we feel how we feel. Stand for this, stand for that. Move more on how of this childhood, or how these issues comes from our childhood issues. Let me get this baby because he's steady calling my name. And I'll be back with more of my commentary. So I'm back, and I wanted to share this article that I found on Dana.org. It's called "The Wounds That Time Won't Heal," and this article about child abuse, and I wanted to read you some of what it says about child abuse. So of course it says that abuse or neglect is tragically among America today, which now we know it is all over the world, not just in America. So nor are most of us surprised when studies point to a strong link between the physical, sexual, or psychological maltreatment of children and the development of psychiatric problems. To explain how such problems come about, many mental health professionals resort to personality theories or metaphors. Perhaps the child's adaptive or protective mechanisms have become counterproductive or self-defeating in the adult. Perhaps childhood abuse has arrested psychosocial development, leaving a wounded child within the adult. So most adults are walking around, may have a good job, may have a good car, they may have, everything materially, but inside they are a wounded child. We may look at these people on TV and think that they are so happy because they have money and the riches and whatever, but we are some of these people are wounded children. Matter of fact, all celebrities are wounded children. Although such explanations may offer genuine insight and may support patients in therapy, too often they instead minimize the impact of early abuse. They make it easy to reproach the victims, to say in so many words, get over it. And I hate that shit. I hate people say, get over it. Oh, don't worry about it. And they always say it until it's their turn to go through it. I can't stand when people say that. So, that's just like a brush. It's like a diss to somebody when you say get over it, as if what they're saying or what they're talking about is not important. That's why most kids don't tell or say anything, because you hear these parents who don't have any, emotional development of their own, and they just brush the kids off, go tell them to play or something, when this whole time your damn child is being abused. So I'm gonna read a little bit more, and I'm gonna get into some of the childhood wounds. So this says a harvest of psychiatric disorders. The mental disorders segment is coming too. It's so many mental disorders that I really want to investigate and really do thorough investigation, because we really have to start talking about conversations that we are uncomfortable to talk about. So physical, sexual, and psychological trauma in childhood may lead to psychiatric difficulties that show up in childhood, adolescence, or adulthood. The victim's anger, shame, and despair can be directed inward to spawn symptoms such as depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, and post-traumatic stress, or directed outward as aggression, impulsiveness, delinquency, hyperactivity, and substance abuse. I think most people just don't have anybody to talk to and express it to. So that's where that inward depression comes to. You have to get things out. Forget people who say, don't talk about it, don't bring it up. Fuck those people. Talk about it, bring it up. Talk to somebody that you trust, that you know that's going to protect your information, that's going to protect you. Because I'm tired of how people just still in 2020 ain't speaking up about things. And certain conversations need to be had at this point, okay? So childhood trauma may fuel in a range of persistent psychiatric disorders. One is somatoform. Probably said that wrong, but it's a disorder also known as psychosomatic disorder, in which patients experience physical complaints with no discernible medical cause. Wow. Another is panic disorder, which is agoraphobia, in which patients experience the sudden acute onset of terror and may narrow their range of activities to avoid being outside, especially in public, in case they have an attack. These are the people that literally stay shout up in the house. They are afraid to go anywhere because it's so much that have went, they just look at the outside world as threatening, as dangerous. Let let's see. Is there anything else I wanted? I think there was one more that I wanted to read. Abuse in the developing brain. Like, this is a really good article, so I'm not going to read any more. That I suggest that you can go ahead and read yourself. Daniel.org, Wounds That Time Won't Heal. So I wanted to discuss inner childhood wounds. So one of the inner childhood wounds, it could be many, but I'm just going to go over the first 4. So one is abandonment wound. Most of us have this. Feelings of being left out, fears being left out, hates being alone. Some of adults are in codependent relationships. I know that I have abandonment issues. When my mother passed away when I was a young age. Threatens to leave, normally attracts emotionally unavailable people. This is where the cheating comes in at. When people who are who feel abandoned, instead of talking to their partner, they look out to cheat. And and people grow. Some people grow and some people change. So sometimes people could actually know that they have these inner childhood wounds and they can work on them. So there's no excuse why people cannot become, their better self or heal or whatever it is that you are here to do. Another childhood wound is guilty wound. Feels sorry or bad, doesn't like to ask for things, uses guilt to manipulate, is afraid to set boundaries, normally attracts people who makes them feel guilty. So this is another one, a guilty wound that is a part of relationships. This is which these wounds will manifest in relationships, especially when you're the type of person who don't set boundaries. You let people walk all over. You let people say what they want to say. And it's not the fact that, because I don't care what people say, but it's the fact at setting boundaries and that people who respect you and people who you have in your energy should not be reckless with anything of you, like nothing of you. So the next one is trust one. I apologize, it's going fast, but of course I have other things that I have to other priorities. I just wanted to keep my promise and come on here, in this week and share, some of my experiences. So trust wound. Oh damn! Everybody got this wound. Everybody has the trust wound. But we are working on it. The key is progress. That's the key, okay? Are you making progress? So the trust wound is afraid to be hurt, doesn't trust themselves, finds ways to not trust people, feels insecure and needs lots of external validation. Doesn't feel safe and attracts people who don't feel safe. So this is definitely the biggest key, the biggest downfall in any relationship, whether it's romantic, partnership, business, friendship. It has to be some type of trust, some type of boundaries. Sometimes, I'm not going to say expectations, because that's where you find your disappointment, when you expect things from people and it's not as if you expect it. But definitely this is where the insecure woman comes in at, where they need their man to constantly validate them. Even men do. It's men out there that needs a woman to constantly tell them how sexy, how fine they are, how attractive they are. I'm not one of those women, I know I can look in the mirror and I enjoy my own time. So, that really doesn't apply to everybody who has trust wounds. But definitely is afraid to be hurt. I think a lot of people are. So that's, Let's go to the neglect wound. The neglect wound is someone who struggles to let things go, has low self-worth, gets angry easily, struggles to say no, represses emotions, fears being vulnerable, normally attracts people who doesn't appreciate them or make them feel seen. So this is another one where I definitely have an issue with the neglect. It goes back to of course these are childhood wounds. So this goes back to my childhood with me being able not to say no because I was afraid that people wasn't going to talk to me anymore, or struggling to let things go, wanting people to pay even more than I paid. So that's why I held on to things. And now I understand what my grandma used to always stress to me and tell me about forgiveness. Like forgiveness, freaking forgiveness, always forgiveness. I was like, oh my God, I hate that word. But But I get it. Like, I promise you, what our grandmas was telling us, I remember everything. And she said that too. But that is the segment for today. And I will definitely be back next week with something else. I would definitely be back next week. I just wanted to come on here and share my experiences with you all. I appreciate you all for listening. There is a purge going on. There's a purge going on. There's a purge going on. Not just in our personal lives, but on a national level, on a worldwide level, and even a universal level. So it's time to really purge. Here come that little man. Here he come. So please join me next week. And peace, gods and goddesses. And until next time.